So this might look like an ordinary sub, but it's not. It's actually a unicorn. This is a once in a lifetime moment. Beyond the Grail watch. It's taken 10 years to find this. And it's bittersweet. So let me explain. Never done this before. Well, obviously I haven't done this before. I'm going to try and do this without crying. This is difficult. Shout out to Aaron. Ti voglio bene, amico mio. He has the ability to cry in his videos, and you know, it takes balls, it takes courage to share emotions like that. The very person that gifted me this Rolex Submariner is my biggest fan, my mother. The last few months have been devastating, as you can imagine. Actually, this started a little bit earlier with other health complications, and then discovered the cancer, and hence why my content has been a little bit sporadic in the last few months over the summer. I do this part-time. So this watch is the culmination of my journey with the Submariner. I started this channel with the Submariner that I chose together with my mother. She's a big watch enthusiast. She loves a Cartier Tank, Max Bill, Junghans, a lot of swatches, Accutron, Space View. A lot of these I gifted to her myself. And actually I should do wristwatch check. I'm wearing the Explorer. It's related to today's video. It's on the Fluko. I've talked about this before. I love this combination. Shout out to Holbens and Fluko, of course, who I've since collaborated and designed products for. They've been incredibly supportive during this time. In fact, everybody has. I was hoping I would complete this video in time for her to watch it, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So I'm just going to make the video. What happens, happens. Welcome to a slightly different show today. Before we go any further, please do like, subscribe and all that jazz. This is actually the most difficult episode I will probably ever have to make. Earlier this year I found out that my mother is terminally ill. After beating several cancers in the past, this time she's bravely decided to let nature run its course. And this reminds me of one of the many aspects I deeply admire is her bravery. So after my annual trip to Germany for business at the start of the summer, I then immediately flew to the UK to see her. This is also why I didn't have another London Gentry event this time, and I do apologise, but I just did not have the time, and I wanted to spend as much of it as I could with her. It was also a lot to process, as you can imagine. So behind me, over there, is where I used to talk to my mother. We used to practice Italian a couple of times a week, just over there. And I asked her, where should I go to do the lifestyle shots? It's Astoria Park. You know, for those of you who don't know, I've lived here for 10 years. And it's a special place because I always came here talking on the phone. We'd practice our Italian. My mother was fluent, obviously, living there so long. And we talk about watches. Pretty much every purchase. It was something that we shared together. In fact, actually, the Lacoste shirt, she bought me my first Lacoste shirt, so I'm wearing a black Lacoste shirt in her honor. My mother is the last of a very special generation. Her upbringing was not like those after her. And yet, despite her quintessentially upper-class British roots, She was incredibly modern, down to earth, noblesse oblige manifested, cultured, open-minded, adventurous, and always, always kind. This spirit led her to move to Rome to study art, and subsequently living there for 25 years, where, you guessed it, she met my father. In fact, shortly after I was born in London, I then spent the first part of my childhood living in the Castello di Cordovado, a castle in northern Italy. Upon returning to the UK, it was my mother who taught me to speak and read in English, and the reason I'm telling you this will become apparent in just a moment. Buying swatches at the airport duty-free each year as we travelled back and forth to Italy became something of a ritual, and my journey with the Rolex Submariner in particular is older than the Urban Gentry brand itself. From a casual enthusiast just sharing it online with painfully rudimentary and insouciant videos, this was back when talking about watches in that manner was still kind of strange to watch. Eventually my passion/addiction evolved into this more matured final stage, and hopefully a seasoned connoisseurship. You know, we spent hours talking and looking at watches together. So we were looking at the Cartier Basculant, a ton of Breguets, the JLC Reverso, the Scrooged AP perpetual calendar, you know, that I've talked about. I've always adored that watch. If I could have any watch, what would I like? So we went through all of these. But then, you know, it occurred to me that these are not watches that I'm going to wear every single day. She knew that I sold my Tudor Submariner to buy the Glashütte Original, which she's a big fan of. I've just done a video all about it, a recap. I knew in the back of my mind I squirreled away that desire for a Submariner. So then she suggested, what's the Submariner that you've always wanted? We started off with the Tudors, the Snowflakes, everything that was available in the market. It is shark-infested waters. It really is. I wouldn't recommend every single listing we found, you know, and shout out to Nick and the whole Merlin crew, their diligent help with recognizing this dial and these hands have been replaced and this case is not blah, 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 and all this stuff. And basically there is no good examples left. Inevitably, we went back to Rolex. We looked at the 5513, the 5512. You see how relaxed I am? I'm talking about watches. It helps me. It helps me. The Patek Ellipse, of course. We looked at a ton of them, but it always came back to the Submariner. We chose my first Submariner together, so I think it's a fitting kind of closing that loop. Inevitably, that search came to this one. The bridge of vintage and new, it's still functional, yet it has all the characteristics that I love. Allora, ci sei? Knife check. Opinel. Parliamo in italiano perché è speciale tra noi, no? È scritto qui: The time has come. The time has come, vedi? Poi c'è the authenticity guarantee. E poi abbiamo la scatola. Vedi la carona? Rullo di tamburi, ecco. Facciamolo. Pronto? Ok. Beautifully put. I'll just open. Oh wow. Wow, really? Oh my god, it is like new. It's all stickers. There's stickers on the side all the way down. Do a little once over with the camera, make sure that I've got it, with brand new stickers on the back. I've never seen this. Almost 20 years old or something, and it's never ever been worn. Chamfered edges, absolutely pristine. Yeah, very crisp. Sono molto fortunato. Ecco, the bezel is perfect. Let me just see if it's lined up. Yep, one more click, there we go. Yeah, very silky smooth winding. Give it a once over and it's going. There's the NYPD joining us. Nice. But yeah, the threading is beautiful. Yeah, there's stickers on both sides. I can't believe there's on both sides of the case. Un grande segno che sarà con me per tutta la mia vita, sì. È perfetto, è veramente perfetto.
Mr.
Bond.
James Bond.
5 minutes later.
But like millions of chaps of my generation and disposition, there's also that Bondian angle, an imagistic lust for the ultimate one-and-done dagger watch that so many desire. In fact, this particular subby kills several horological birds with one stone. Firstly, the fact that no other brand has been worn by 4 corporeal incarnations of Bond, and 007's creator Ian Fleming's own literary references and personal choice with his 1016 Explorer. The second West Indies bird killed by my thrown stone. That's a nice deep cut reference there for those that rarely know the Bond verse. Oh my god, did I just use the term Bond verse? Is that even a thing? Anyway, well, it puts an end to my nostalgia-fueled hankering for a Brosnan Bond-era Seamaster. Well, I hope so, anyway. That triggering allure that evokes all those profound Madeleine memories of the smell of overheated plastic with endless N64 GoldenEye death matches. The Seamaster, after all, was my very first luxury Swiss watch. And yes, something I also shared with my mother in deciding which version to buy. But my question remains, which Submariner? So after half a decade of deeply satisfying ownership of the highly underrated but contrarian Tudor reference 79090, last year I borrowed a stunningly bewitching no-date Rolex 5512 with that pulchritudinous ghost bezel. A spell was cast with its Roger Moore-era redoubtable classy vintage charms and stealthy but congruent explorer-like no-date purity, leaving an indelible impression, like seeing Halle Berry emerge from the waters for the first time. It's kind of like having real pizza in Napoli and then going back to New York slices. Yes, NYC pizza is decent, in fact better than most throughout the world, and I like this analogy because you just can't compare to the real thing with the original ingredients born from the volcanic soil of the region that is just unmistakable. So I'm not the first owner, but I am the first wearer. And this piece will stay with me until I join my mother in that next place. You know, I really think it was supposed to be. This is no ordinary subby. After weeks of sedulously searching, I found this rare model in unworn new old stock condition. A true safe queen, and a synchronous sign from the horological gods if there ever was one. It's almost as if it had been saved to be enjoyed just for this very moment, and my dear Merlin crew agreed and said it was supposed to be. So it's basically like a new watch, but with all the characteristics of vintage I have grown to appreciate as my tastes matured. Featuring a cleaner 2 lines on the dial like most Bondian subbies, and not the more complicated 4 lines of the later modernized 14060 with the additional M on the end. This simpler layout is also depicted in that 007 inspired iconic poster that proudly hangs in the new New York War Room. However, best of all, this overlooked transitional model has the modern superluminova of the later 14060M, giving it a perfect orientative functional balance to the luminosity. Something I actually do use that kind of always bugged me about my previous tritium-based dials that I've enjoyed, even if they do age so gracefully with patina. It's all housed in one of the thinnest cases the Submariner has ever had, especially compared to my previous Tudor or the Cicciotto and tubby Rolex 1680 equivalent, but still with handy drilled lug holes. It really is the best of all worlds, and it's taken so long to get here. And to take it to that next level, to make it truly like no other, after a very successful modification to my Explorer a few months previously, I had it engraved with words chosen by my mother to perpetually remember her by every time I wear it. I want to say some thank yous. Shout out to Moya, who've always had my back. Moya Fine Jewelers. I sold them my ceramic sub. It's a lot of money. You know, I trust them. Derek has always supported me. I would not recommend anybody I don't trust and use myself. That's how it's always been. My audience deserve the best. I also got to thank Ivan in Boca Raton for sourcing me this. Amazing watch dealer. He had it serviced with their in-house guys, gaskets, everything, lubrications, quick service, no polishing, nothing like that. Just make sure all the internals are functioning, because obviously it's been sitting in a safe. Thank you to the Merlin crew, especially Nick, who I'm going to interview. He is an absolute expert. He has like a sixth sense of spotting, you know, replaced hands, dials, like you wouldn't believe. I'm going to get him on the channel. I'm going to interview him. I promise. I've given him my word, and, you know, I always live up to my word. I may be slow. I may take a while, but I'm always the tortoise compared to the hare in that kind of regard. But I always get there in the end. Thank you to my wife for always being there, and I'm so glad that my mother got to know her and they love each other, and, you know, means a lot for being patient with me. But most of all, my mother, I will miss you. Ti amo così tanto, con tutto il mio cuore. Lo so che stai con me. I'm going to miss you watching and talking about the episodes. She was my biggest fan. So if you're going through a similar thing, as Stallone always says, keep punching. And Churchill, KBO, KBO, KBO. The next episode is probably going to be pre-recorded. I will catch you hopefully in the next one. I don't know what's going to happen, so I just want to say ti voglio bene a tutti, and I'm just sorry that I'm not going to be doing any Gentry meetups for a little while, but now you know why. But stay tuned. Onwards and forever upwards. I'll catch you in the next one. Alright guys, ciao.